everybody, this is Noelle from Petitti Garden Centers, and we are going to do a spotlight on Nepeta. You might have heard of this plant before. It is a herbaceous perennial, is really aromatic and wonderful, and its other name is Catmint, but we usually refer to it as Nepeta. And here's what you need to know about this plant. So first of all, to start out with, what kind of sunlight do they like? They love full sun conditions, okay? Especially in Northeast Ohio, that is where they want to be. So 6 or more hours of direct sunlight, put them there. They love it, okay? Soil, what's nice about Nepeta is they're very, very adaptable. Soil, what they're looking for is they're usually looking for average to dry to moist, well-drained soil. Okay, we have a lot of clay in this area, so make sure that you're amending your soil when you are planting this plant, okay? That will definitely help. To be honest, they really can take a little bit of moisture, and ideal situation for them, which goodness knows we just never really have the ideal, is a cool, moist soil. So they can take that seasonal moisture in the spring that we have in clay soils and can really just kind of go with it, roll with it through the growing season as those soils dry out into the summer and get a lot warmer out there too. So that's okay with them. Adaptable as far as soil wise. Yes, always a great thing. Watering, we always talk about that first year out in the garden, watering 1 inch, 1 time per week. Slow, deep watering is always going to be very, very beneficial for all of your plants that you're establishing. And of course, when we move into drought season, you want to see that 1 inch of water per week. However, with these guys, once they're established, they have pretty good drought tolerance. So just be aware, they might need a drink of water if we get really hot, really dry, middle of the season, but mostly do very, very well. Fertilizer wise, it's our typical perennial fertilizer maintenance. So in the spring, we want you to feed them with plant tone and iron tone. And midsummer, put a little osma coat around them and they will do awesome for you. And that's one of the benefits of this plant, is that it is just so low maintenance that they really do not need a lot of care. And that rolls into what maintenance do we really need to do with the Nepeta. So to be honest, again, soft herbaceous perennial, it will bloom and bloom for you all the way through the season. It really does better and produces more blooms for you if you can shear it back after that first bloom cycle, okay? So just take the shears, pruners, scissors, what have you. Go ahead, as the spikes of flowers have faded back, about 80% or so, go ahead and just cut or shear right below those flower spikes and you'll be ready to go. And it will produce more buds and blooms and spikes for you to grow, okay? Really easy plant. If you don't shear it back, believe it or not, this plant will fade in color. Their flowers will fade, and then they have a little bit of a calyx that's holding onto that flower, and it has color to it. So as they fade, you still see that color on where the flower was. And so it's a really ornamental plant. Like I said, don't have to do a lot of maintenance there. In the spring, folks will say, hey, do I need to cut it back? Yeah, it definitely helps to cut this plant down as low as you can go in the springtime. When you see new growth just starting to be produced on those stems at the base, go ahead and cut all the way down as low as you can go, and then that plant will fill out and do its thing for you, okay? As far as division is concerned and a little bit of maintenance, you don't need to do a lot of dividing with this plant. It produces a really nice clump of foliage and flowering for you throughout the season. I'd say if you want to produce more, within 3 to 5 years, you could go and dig the clump, go ahead and divide it with a sharp spade and go from there, okay? Nepeta, most of these varieties are hybrid and they typically are sterile, so you're not really, being able to propagate this plant from seeds. So really division is the way to go if you do want to produce more. Okay, let's talk about all of the wonderful attributes with this plant. So not only is Nepeta, like I said, its common name can be catmint. but it is in the mint family. So it does have that distinctive square stem on it. So there's 4 flat sides of the stem, and you can feel it. And then, but it also is extremely, extremely aromatic. So the foliage is edible. Folks use it in teas and flavorings and different things. So it really does have a very lovely, strong aromatic smell. And guess what? Because of that aroma, it has a very, very good herbivore resistance. So we rarely see deer browsing, bunny browsing on this plant. So that's great for us. Long blooming flowers, as I mentioned, a very, very long color, beautiful gray-green texture and color on the foliage, very kind of ruffly, frilly foliage, smaller foliage, very nice. It really combines very nicely with other perennials out in the landscape, no problem whatsoever. Drought tolerant, again, heat tolerant, does its job out there. And as far as pollinators are concerned, whenever you're planting the mint family, you are going to see pollinators out there. So along with Nepeta, you might have something like the meadow sage or salvias, the perennial salvias out there. They're in the mint family. They also attract the pollinators like none other. Bee balm or monarda, again, another mint family member. They attract the pollinators. So if you're going to plant all those mints together in a pollinator garden, they will do very, very well alongside Nepeta. Okay. As far as their smell too, I just forgot this, but it actually will repel deer and bunnies, but it also repels some other pesky insects that we have around, like aphids or squash beetle. So those are some really nice qualities to have, some good repellent qualities to get some of those insects, pesky insects away. Let's talk about varieties here. And really what you need to know is when you come and you look at these varieties, they are, there's tall, medium, and more compact or shorter petite varieties. Okay, so make sure you check out your tag. Sometimes you want a taller variety, and it's called Walker's Low. And this is the tallest variety that we have. We're getting some wind, but normally in the beginning of the season, you'll see the stems kind of stand up a little bit taller. It's usually 2 to 3 foot tall, the stems in length. But what it does is it sort of has a really pretty arching habit to it. It will spread out about 2 to 3 foot wide. So it's a nice, very showy landscape plant altogether, and they do very, very well as sort of a backdrop to smaller annuals or smaller perennials as well. So look for that. So if you're looking for something that's on the taller side, look for Walker's Low. I know that sounds a little bit different, but it works out really, really well. Okay, next size down, we're going to go here. And this is Junior Walker, okay? So Junior Walker, obviously you can tell, not as tall of flowering spikes or stems there. Very, very similar coloration. Again, most of these have very similar coloration to them, where you have that periwinkle blue to slightly purple flower, that gray-green, a little bit of fuzzy foliage there. So very pretty. And Junior Walker, I'm going to say, is probably around the 2 foot mark. So 2 foot tall, 2 foot wide. Okay. Medium size, we're going to go to Persian blue. And we love Persian blue. Taylor has this planted. It really is a beautiful, medium size, very dense, compact plant. Foliage is a little bit smaller, definitely smaller than Walker Low or Junior Walker. Okay. And also flowers are very, very profuse. So when you see Persian blue, you'll see just a beautiful mound of that color, green, and then also the periwinkle blue. I will say with Persian blue that it has kind of those dark kind of purple calyxes. So when that flower fades, you do see a little bit of a darker purple color on them. So that's really nice. Good added feature with Persian blue as well, okay? Medium size, again, probably around 16 to 18 inches tall. A good noted thing that I almost forgot with Persian blue is first year, as we say with perennials, they sleep. Second year, they creep. Third year, they leap. With Persian blue, it seems to take off really, really nicely. So first year they sleep, second year they're already leaping. Okay, so that can form a mound that's about 30 inches wide. So it is a good, vigorous catmint, but again has that dense, sort of medium-sized compact mound. Okay. The next one is Cat's Meow, and it's right next to Persian blue. Cat's Meow is a proven winter variety. They are very, very similar in size and shape. And again, it's just a very easy plant to grow out there. So if you're looking for, a blue to purple color perennial, that's easy, deer resistant, pollinator attractant, don't want to deal very much with it, just want it to plant and do really, really well. This is a great consideration for all of you, that are just kind of starting your perennial gardens out there. This is a good one. Okay, so Cat's Meow. Then the two smallest, and it doesn't look like this in the picture, and Taylor's going to show you, but the two smallest are actually called Kitten Around, and Kitten Around is just a step down from Persian blue. So you can tell Persian blue is a little bit taller, Kitten Around's a little bit smaller here, shorter, definitely more compact. But for the most part, the blooming is very similar to Persian blue. Really pretty habit, very, very dense, very nice. So now we're talking, again, 12 to 14 inches tall. So more of that edger, border, that type of perennial. And the next smallest one is actually called Cat's Pajamas. And I'm going to pull this out. And obviously, they don't look the same in the container. And again, Cat's Pajamas is supposed to be nice and compact, really, really tight, one of the shortest varieties. But these flowering spikes right now are enormous. So I'm kind of looking at this, sort of scratching my head a little bit. But again, if you're looking for the smallest varieties out there, real compact, obviously beautiful bloomer, with Cat's Pajamas, really, really tall spikes on this one. But those are supposed to be the two shortest, most compact out there. So Kitten Around and Cat's Pajamas. And boy, Cat's Pajamas, as far as a cut flower, my goodness, this would make an excellent cut flower out there. Again, you're getting a lot of aroma or fragrance from this, and then beautiful stems. So something to think about as far as Nepeta is concerned too. I love the Nepeta planted with your daisy family or your carnation family, and Stella does have them arranged with some carnations that are just starting to bud up and open up for us. That will be a beautiful combination, but any of your daisy type flowers or composite type flowers. So you'll have the beautiful Nepeta below, the daisy stems will come up above. It can be a Shasta daisy, a coneflower, a black-eyed Susan. They all look beautiful coming out of that lower mounded Nepeta. So do look to combine them with some daisies. That's a great combo right there for the sun, okay? So again, Nepeta, easy as can be, full sun conditions, drier, average to moist soils. What can be better? Very, very adaptable there. First year, just watch that watering, 1 inch of water 1 time per week. Fertilize, again, fertilize in spring with your plant tone and iron tone. In midsummer, give them a shot at Osmocote. They'll do really well for you. And if you need to, you don't have to, but again, you're going to get a lot more buds and blooms if you shear them after that first blooming and just let them go. Have the pollinators enjoy them, and you enjoy them too.